Hello, this is a video about the results of my first experiences in casting. I cast 9 pieces, and those 9 pieces represented 3 different types of media, as in sand. So some media was done in sand, some media was done in green sand, and some media was done in rock. So I did it in rock, and this is sand, strained sand, which is what the rock left behind, and this is green sand, which I also tested. So in those materials, that type of media, I also wanted to know what surface texture made a difference. So on here, I also did texture. This is surface preparation. So I tested texture, and on texture I did nothing. This is just straight foam. On here I did foam with 1 coat of plaster of Paris. And here I did, it was the foam and 2 coats of plaster of Paris. Except in this case it was something special. Here I did a snake skin. Anyway, and here is the media that I casted in. Anyway, so here's the results. This is not a test of how far it cast in. I cast on this side, it flowed in this way. This is green sand, and it went in that far. This is green sand with a snake skin coating on here. And then the next was the sand. This is plain sand without any surface treatment. This is sand with 1 coating of plaster. This is sand with 2 coatings of plaster. There's some interesting details that happen on these, just the way they fill in. And then the next is the rock. This is rock with 2 coats of plaster. This is rock with no coatings. This is pure direct contact with the rock surface. And this is rock with a single coating of plaster, but it still took the rock shape. The bending is actually caused by me trying to remove it when it was still way too soft. I tried to forcibly remove it, and that was unsuccessful. Anyway, those are the 9 results. It is not a test to see how far it flowed, because these were poured at once, these were poured at once, and these were poured at once. So all 3 different pours. So the length of the pour is not what the test is about. The test is about the surface texture and in the media. So the green sand, very nice. This is the size. All of the pieces were cut from 1 shape and then cut to widths. There's nothing really interesting about this. A little bit of sink mark. So this one, it's interesting to see how this flowed past. There's where I had a cavity underneath the foam, which is very easy because I was packing it underneath that way. This is a sink when it finally collapsed. I didn't have enough metal when I cast this. This is actually part of my very, very first casting. I guess I didn't need the varies in there. This is interesting because this actually has snakeskin coating on here. Here's a piece of tape that I used to tape the snakeskin to the foam. This foam did not have any surface treatment, so it's the same as this one. But you can see the pattern of the snakeskin all through here. There's where it was folded over snakeskin, but it took the pattern quite well, which means you can put a surface texture of some other material on this foam and the aluminum will take it. Very interesting. It's neat how it also shows how the material is flowing against the foam. Anyway, enough of that one. The next one is, this is pure in sand. There's no surface preparation. It's simply poured in, flowed. Interesting thing on this is how you see this drool mark. You can almost see that that's exactly how the foam was melting into the aluminum. The aluminum's trying to get around it, and now it's dragging in here and it's burning off, causing this kind of crease. It's also interesting on the side here where you see the texture of the sand and all of a sudden it disappears at a certain level, and I think that's where the molten metal is flowing up and it's still pushing the foam away at this point. At this point in time the foam is gone and it can take the texture of the sand which has been left behind. Very interesting feature on this piece. Learned a lot in this whole process. Again, this one has one coating of plaster, a thin coating of plaster, all in sand. It doesn't have the same flow pattern. Here you can see the foam shape pattern go all the way right up to the tip. It doesn't have that distinct mark where the flow wave is stopped. This one again, this one has two coatings of plaster on it. Again, normal flow. This is all marred up because of the abuse I did when I was taking it apart. Now the rock one. This tells me that I can cast into rock at least to a certain depth, and if you want a nice rough coarse finish on something, you could actually get a very nice consistent coarse finish this way. Some rocks still pop off every now and then, but that's done in just the plain rock, the stuff that you would never normally cast in. This one actually had one coating of plaster on it, and it broke through in a few places and left these real sharp bits on it. This one is more controllable than the raw directly onto the rock, but this is kind of interesting, and it seems to happen at a certain depth where the rock formation can actually take place. It doesn't happen up higher, perhaps not enough pressure. And the last one, this has two coats of plaster of Paris on it. It was placed in rock and just poured in rock and shook. Casting looks great for something super fast. That would be an easy way to do it. If you didn't have too much depth, very, very easy to do. Anyway, that's my first attempt. That is my success at casting. First time out. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like if you found this instructional. I certainly appreciate it. Thanks for watching to the end. Have a good evening.